Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Am Christina DiArcangelo. And with me today, I have my friend and colleague, Matt Perry, on to talk about what he's been working on and all the exciting things that he has to share with us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Christina. It's a pleasure to reconnect with you. I know we have a few exciting events coming up this year, and the internet is awesome to bridge that gap when we can't be together in person.
That's absolutely right. I'm so excited for our upcoming event in October because it's going to be almost like what we did in July, but on a much bigger scale last year. Of course.
Expansion, yeah. The expansion is always happening. You're always up to something new, Christina. I know that.
Well, I'm not the only one. You are too. So why don't you talk to us about what's been going on with you? And also, I want to tie in how we got connected so that people understand the relationship that we have. Because as you know, one of the themes for my podcast is to show people that we are the same. So there's some components to every single guest that comes on my show that shows that there's similar qualities across myself and the guest that shows that we are the same. So why don't you kick us off, Matt? Tell us all about you, what you've been working on. You just got back from a big trip not too long ago, and I saw some more exciting news that you shared just this week.
Yes. So maybe to get real down to the basics here, I'm a lover of nature. I really love being outside and being around the trees and, seeing the clouds and hearing the birds. That stuff just, it lights me up right away. Every time when I get outside, I just light up. So that's kind of where I find my happy place. And a lot of that inspiration turned into music. I've always been, I was playing guitar and trumpet earlier in life. I was writing songs for a rock band and singing vocals. I was even a singer at one point. That lifetime is beyond me. But yeah, I've just been music. Music has been taking me all over the world and to all these amazing places. I just got back from Fredericton, Canada. We were doing a gig up there on Thursday, and then I had a gig in Martha's Vineyard off the coast of Massachusetts on Saturday. So I was on a little mini East Coast tour, DJing, working as a DJ for original music acts as well as doing private events. And right before that, I actually took a much bigger trip to Nairobi, Kenya, and spent 3 weeks over there, having the time of my life, spending it with family, and just getting to experience all the local flavor of Kenya. It was pretty cool because normally, I would be a tourist over there. And I think that's a whole different experience, but I really got pulled into the local culture. And even whenever we went anywhere, my family would say, they're like, oh no, he's Kenyan. It's just all sorts of really fresh stuff at the market every day, fresh watermelon, fresh pineapple. So I'm really big into fruits too. I love nature. I love fruits. I think that stuff it excites me, and it gets me, it makes me feel energized and also feel content and not overloaded or overbearing. So Kenya was so much needed for me. It was such a nice break from the American hustle culture. And, I think we're all really over here. We're really just grinding all the time, hustling really. And there's a little bit more kind of relaxation going on in Kenya, which is cool. So I appreciated that. I got to see giraffe and elephant, and that was just incredible. And the Afrobeat music over there, oh my goodness, the Afrobeat.
I bet you it's pretty amazing. And I was watching, as your pictures were coming up, and I was like, this is so cool. Just to see what you were seeing and just the cultural diversity that you got to experience must have been tremendous.
Oh my God, yeah. And I was learning some Swahili, which is the native language spoke over there. There's actually a lot of different languages. Luya is another one, but I couldn't pick that one up. That was too complicated. But Swahili Kidogo. I speak a little Swahili. Tamusana was one of my favorite phrases I learned over there. It means very sweet. If someone
Cool.
gives you something, some good food or something, you can say Tamusana. And a normal way to greet somebody would be like Niaji. That would be like hello, and then the response would be Poa.
Oh,
And
okay.
that just means like, oh, it's all good.
Good.
You know, so
Yeah.
like I would say like Niaji,
Hmm.
and then you would say Poa.
Yeah.
Um, so also learning the new language, I think, is like definitely like exciting a different part of my brain and helping create more like smart networks, you know, from like the left and right hemispheres of my brain, and blending all that stuff, shaking it up a little bit, getting rid of some of the habits, you know, it's really good. And it was just time of a lifetime, seriously.
That is so awesome. And it's something you won't forget in those experiences. You're just building your toolbox, as you go from place to place and experience new people, new cultures, new music. It's pretty cool to be able to do that, and see how it influences your life personally and professionally.
Totally. And you know, that's actually a great segue here to a new business that I launched. It's an online business that's created to help singers, producers, DJs, and musicians level up to the next level in their career. And the way we do that is we utilize different industry experts and industry veterans, and we build networks and relationships with them, and host online webinars twice a week for our inner circle community, as well as having access to like master classes and all the past seminars. And I would say a lot of that online business inspiration was driven by being in Kenya and being so connected to the people over there, and then feeling like I was just going to have to leave them because it's very hard to make money when you're not in person, for me at least.
Right, right. Yeah, it is hard. I mean, you can only do so much remotely, but you have to be on site lots of times, depending upon what the project is, especially if you're helping develop new music. You have to be with the people, to kind of live it, breathe it, feel it together.
It's totally 100%, you know. And so with the new online business, we're working with like a small team of artists, and it's just working so well. Like we've already had a successful beta phase basically, and we brought 4 artists through the program, and they all are just balling. And it's so cool to like see every one of them achieve major goals in their life and overcome these like major emotional hurdles that were blocking them from achieving these goals. So that's been super tremendous. If anything, the internet business is now like the most impactful thing in my life, and it's just all through the phone. It's really crazy.
Well, we had to learn to do business in a different way when the pandemic hit us, right? Because a lot of people had to shut offices down, couldn't go on site anymore, and they had to figure out very creative ways to be able to do their work and still make their money. Because not every state provided consultants with unemployment during the pandemic. So, people like us, we're 1099s, we own our own companies. So we do not have like salary, if you will, that we take. We get paid through the projects that we get. So for people like us, the pandemic really caused, I feel, an eye-opening experience in multiple ways, but especially in business. You don't have to be in person as much to be able to do some of the business things that you can do online.
Oh, 100%, you know, and it was a great wake up call for me because guys, I was just clubbing. I was working as a DJ, right? Like before the pandemic, but I was at the club 3 nights a week. That's a lot of club time. Like
Yeah.
that is a lot of, and I was DJing for 5 hours a night. So I was DJing 15 hours a week at the clubs every week, at least. And then maybe a couple more gigs. So for me, it was super healthy to get out of that environment. Even, just now I'm so much more focused on original music. Because at the clubs, it's all top 40 stuff, and it's really fun. And it totally is where I cut my teeth. I learned how to beat match. I learned how to harmonically mix. Like, I learned what the crowd wants. I learned what the important things are as a DJ. But I had to get out of there, and I'm just so thankful the pandemic came and just it was that instigator.
Yeah, it did. It pushed you to the next level, which is where you were going anyway. Sometimes we just need that little tap, to get us to go to the next level. And sometimes it's painful as we move up to the next level. But once we reach that spot and we look around, once we're there, it's like, wow, why was I so resistant to this change? Because it's going to yield me so many positive results in the end.
That is so true. Yeah. And one thing I would say too is, like, the collaborative work that I've done has been my most successful. And I think that's a common thread I find among successful people is they tend to be really good at collaborating and working with other people, letting their strengths shine, right? Like a good leader, right? Like someone like you, Christina, like you do a great job of letting other people shine in their roles. You don't micromanage. You know what? You just like, you say, you know what? This is for you. Like, here, have the whole thing. And it's amazing. So
that's what we did with my podcast music, right? I had no idea what I was going to do. I had never worked on anything like this before in my life, right? And so one of the cool things was that because I observe, the other side, who I'm talking with, I felt that as though our relationship skyrocketed once I figured out a way to be able to talk to you so that creatively, you were able to do what you needed to do, because we come from very different worlds. Yes, we're creative in nature with our businesses and things we do, but I cannot produce music. I can't do any of the things that you do. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to be able to communicate what I was thinking and envisioning this song to be for our podcast. And what came out of it, I mean, I'm so proud of it and I love it and it's amazing. And every time I hear it, it makes me feel hopeful, at peace, like tranquil, like just like centered. I loved what you created. I truly, I'm sure you hear sometimes I bring it into some of my videos that we use for our media, and even the Freedom Retreat. I used that music to kick it off when I did the video, because it's who CD is. That music that you created for me. And that's not the only thing you did. You also created 2 other things that we haven't released yet because we've been playing around with these websites through one of my commercial companies. So once we get that done, then we'll release that as well. So, I mean, it's just what you do is just amazing. Like, it just is, I don't know how else to explain it.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And it does take my full heart and attention to do these projects. So to know that it's landing with you and you're also feeling that, like, means the world to me.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, I listened to it, when you first sent me the clip, the test clip, I listened to it and listened to it and listened to it. And when you can hear the bass also, it's just amazing. Like, it's just like, and when I sent it to the guys on the team, Rye and Major, they were listening to it in different locations. Like Rye, I think, listened to it in his car. Because he's always driving. And then Major, he's in front of his computer all the time. So he listened to it off of his computer. I listened to it off my phone because I do everything, a lot of my business stuff through my iPhone. which is kind of odd, but that's how I do a lot of my posts and things like that. So for me, I wanted to hear how it sounded off my phone. So we had like a big broad net of listening of your clip, and it just came out amazing. I just love it so much.
Oh, well, thank you. That's actually a real treat to hear as a sound engineer. One thing that we go for in the industry, and like I might mix like 4 songs in a day, or I don't write 4 new original songs in a day. That would be extremely challenging. But I mix a lot of records, and like the golden standard for mixing a record is that it translates well on those different environments that you just listed, all 3 of them right there, like as if you're a sound engineer yourself.
Well, I learned a lot from you in this process. I'm like a sponge, and I only know what I know. And I feel like also being a good leader is making sure that you embrace all of the things that you don't have, your shortcomings, and you find the best. And that's who you plug into those slots. So like you, for example, what the heck do I know? First off, I never done a podcast where I was hosting. I've always been on the other side like you are to me today. Those I could do no problem, right? And so when Rye and Major came to me and asked me, did I want to do something like this last June? I was worried that I wouldn't be able to do it. Like, I don't see myself as somebody that people would want to listen to. Then that's what I thought. Like, people are going to be bored. Why would they want to listen to, podcasts talking about clinical research or something like, you know what I mean? I don't know why but so we gave it a shot. And when we were in that process, then it was, well, what do we do about music? Because we need to brand this as my podcast and who I am as a human. And so then I started worrying about that because I'm like, well, listen, I don't know the first thing about doing something like this. I've done outsourcing my whole career, clinical research wise, but like music, I don't know. And so thank God for Rye, because you and Rye have been working together for years. And he said, don't worry, because he knew I was getting upset because I'm like, how am I going to find somebody that's going to be able to do this? And how am I going to get them to understand me in a short period of time? Because think about it, you had to kind of figure out who I was to develop this podcast music. And you didn't have a lot of time because we were trying to launch at the same time as you developing this music. It kind of all happened in tandem to one another. So it was like, oh, are we going to be able to keep up with this? Because this just kind of came out of the sky. We decided to do this, but you did, you got it done. You beat expectations as far as I'm concerned. And it was just like amazing to watch you through this process and like learn. Like, that's why I was like, oh yeah, because we need to make sure we could hear it on the computer, the phone, and the car, right? And so like from a sub or something like that. So if you're listening to it from at home on your home entertainment TV or whatever, because we are on Apple or on Spotify, you've got to be able to hear it on the TV. So I'm excited that like I learned this stuff because I didn't know the first friggin' thing about this until I met you.
Right. Well, hey, I think the world is full of people making connections and just letting that like be a positive. One thing that really changed in my career over the past few years was approaching a situation with the understanding that it was positive and that the person on the other side was looking for what I had to offer. Right? It's the same thing for artists who go on stage. I do a lot of artist coaching for artists going on stage. And one of the big things is like going up there with the understanding that the crowd is there to cheer you on. They want to see you win. Like, they have this imaginative like energy that they're allowed to donate to you when they're watching you on stage. And they're going to do that. So like, you're getting superpowers when you go up there through the act of the humans watching you. They're all giving you their attention. They're supercharging you so you have extra power, right? And you can harness that power and have a sick performance, or that power can just destroy you like a wave.
Right. It's all about your choice. At the end of the day, it's the choices that you make that determines the path that you're going to take, the path that you're going to go on, and whether or not you're going to be successful or fail. I mean, because there's failures in every business, opportunity or business that we get into. I've had successes, obviously, but I've had failures too. And that's just part of life. I think.
Oh yeah. I've had way more failures than I've had successes, no doubt. No doubt. I'm always failing every day. I'm definitely doing something wrong.
I know, me too. I'm like, oh shit. And we learn from it, right? As long as we learn from it and we don't keep repeating it, then we're on a good spot, I think. But if we keep repeating it, then we've got a problem. Like, it's like, come on, how many times are you going to do that?
Totally. And if anyone here is listening and they're like an aspiring artist, definitely hit me up. Like, send me a DM or reach out to Christina and she'll put you in contact with me. I'd love to just talk with you about what's going on in your career. And I like to build connections with people who are genuine and conscious. And I know that if you're listening to this podcast, you're one of those people. So definitely reach out and connect with me. My socials are DJ Matt Perry. DJ, like the two letters, like a disc jockey. DJ Matt Perry.
And we will hyperlink your information to this podcast so that people can just easily click. And if anybody wants to get a hold of you, they could always, reach out to me, and I'm happy to pass it off to you, Matt, because, I'm so blessed to have you part of the team, because there's a lot of things that we're doing, and there's stuff that's coming that's even more massive than the Freedom Retreat that we're working on, that I'll be tying you into, that's patient facing. So you'll get to use a different part of your brain, again, different from what we did with CD and our podcast music and the other stuff that we did that we haven't released yet. It's going to be a little bit different because it's going to be relative to patients finding paradise. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm hoping we get this, because if we do, or when we do, I should say, then this just opens up the gate for more creativity across all these different people that are working on multiple projects to make it better for humans and society.
Totally, yeah. Servicing the world, and I just love it. I love being a part of a team that can really help, and like the vision and the focus is like on empowering the people, and it's just so cool.
Well, thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciated you joining me today. I know I took time out of, time in your schedule today, time out of the booth, but I really appreciate you taking time to talk to us all today. And I'm excited to see what comes in the future, because I know it's going to be something that's going to be extraordinary.
Oh, thank you so much, Christina. It's my pleasure.
Well, with that, as we always say, we are the same. I am Christina DiArcangelo. Thank you for joining me today.